Hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Sunday afternoon. So that means we're going to be talking about coping with stress. Hope you've all had a wonderful weekend and it wasn't too stressful. And, interesting. Jeannie, hi, Jeannie. Good to see you. Jeannie's saying that purple is supposed to be a healing color. Yes, I've great believer in those different color things. And so what made you come up with that, Jeannie? You may right off the bat, that's an interesting thing for you to come up with, first of all. Is it because you wanted to make sure you didn't forget it, which would be my reason? Hi, Rinsky, good to see you as well. And hi, Jody, good to see you. And so while I'm just waiting for Jeannie to answer that, we're going to be talking a little bit today about coping with stress by being more aware. And, every week, for those of you who don't know, DearMamaSal is a group of people who get together 3 times a week. We get together lunchtime on Fridays where we talk about coping with feelings, of which I have plenty. And again, on Friday evenings, these are Pacific times, at 7 o'clock, where we talk about coping with life. And then this broadcast on a Sunday evening, where we talk, a Sunday afternoon, actually, at 3:30 Pacific, where we talk about dealing with stress. And just so that for those of you who might be watching or in the background or watching on the replay, I just want to make sure you understand I am not somebody that is a therapist or a psychologist or anything like that with a fancy piece of paper. I am somebody that's lived a long life, as you can tell, and learned a few things along the way and continuing to learn a lot of things. And just remember as well that what we do here at DearMamaSal is not only grow our emotional intelligence, but also help people around us. Jeannie's asking that she missed the question. Could I repeat it? Yes, it was interesting that right off the bat, you came up with that purple is a healing color. That's actually lilac there. Do I have any purple in the background at all? Don't think so. Anyway, so, but I wondered what made you come up with that right off the bat, because that's not like you to come up with something before I've even talked about what we're going to be talking about. So I was just interested in that. It sounded like it was top of mind for you. Rinsky's asking, how are you doing lately, Mama Sal? I think I'm doing great, but I'm very biased about that. I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along. But thank you I hear the love in that. And I want to say that. I think that's one expression that Yvonne brought back to me. For those of you who don't know, Yvonne was my tenant for 20 years until I moved about a year ago, nearly. And she always says that I taught her to hear the love in what people were saying. And it's a lovely thing. I don't know about you, Rinsky. How did it feel when I said to you, thank you, and I can hear the love in that, or I can see the love in it, or feel the love in it? And Jeannie's saying, I was told by others, and I often wear purple if I feel others need that. Oh, interesting. Rinsky saying, it was nice. All right, so think about that, Rinsky. If it feels good to you to hear it and feel it, then you might want to incorporate that into your words to help people de-stress a little bit. All right, which is when they say something that maybe you didn't quite understand, or you look for the slightest reason to say, something that was really interesting, and I can hear the love in that. Thank you. Because even if they didn't mean to send you love in that, it changes the atmosphere. And I'm a great believer in that. I've always said that part of the reason that we feel so much stress is we don't know the words to protect ourselves, or the words to back people off, or the words to calm them down. Because quite often, how many of you would agree with me that a lot of our stress is not of our making? It's other people are doing things. Now, we make our own stress because of how we react to it. But, it's just like we don't know how to calm other people down. Interesting. Jody said, I feel so special when you tell me you feel the love in my words. I absolutely glow inside. Well, that was really interesting that you should say that. Now, I'm talking about Yvonne because for those of you who watch my unboxing of a parcel on Friday, one of the things was I had at last ordered myself the birthday present that Yvonne wanted to give me. And I said to her, I know what I want, but I'm going to wait for it to come down in price or to be on special. And what it was a whole baking bread type combination, a proofing basket, a lamb, I think it's a lamb. Lammy. Jody will remind me. Anyway, it's the thing you cut it with to make the shapes, and stencils and all sorts of things. So what I wanted to show you was the reason this came up is because I baked some bread this morning, and here it is. And as you can see, it looks magnificent. So I sent a picture to Yvonne because it was about thank you for the present. And by the way, Jody, just because I know you're always interested in the crumb, this was, I think I know how to do it now. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about this was because I sent the picture to Yvonne and said, would you like me to slice it and freeze it so that you can take it slice by slice? In other words, it was obviously her loaf. And what she said was, no, I want you to eat it because where I am is COVID central at the moment, and I don't want you anywhere near this place. I heard the love in that. Even though there was part of me that was sad because I don't get to give her the loaf. And obviously she doesn't even want me to go and drop it off there. But so that made me sad. But what I did was I wrote and I said to her, part of me is so sad about this because I did so want to give you this and I baked it with you in mind. But, I heard the love. Yeah, I heard the love and I thank you for that. So now I also wanted to give a heads up here. I saw something that Nyasha talked about today. And she talked about the fact that she seems to go a couple of feet forward, a couple of steps forward in her goals, and then ends up taking a few back again. And what I realized was that maybe Nyasha didn't know that that's the way it goes. That's how life works. You sort of start taking a couple of steps forward and then you end up taking a couple of steps back. And what I wanted to do, because I think it's important for you to all understand this, because it helps you be more patient. I always think of it, it's like climbing a mountain, right? And it's sort of like you climb, and then you sort of appear to fall. You have that little bit that goes back. But really what that is a resting time for you to find out that this is your new normal. This is where you started, but this is your new normal. And so then you wait to gather up enough energy or motivation or whatever, and then you take off again until you run out of energy, and then you slip back again. But the interesting thing is that this is your new normal. And does that make sense to everybody? Yes. Jody, who is our admin, is saying success is not linear. Right? It doesn't just go like this. All right? And therefore, the greatest gift that Jody gave me about dealing with my blood glucose was to have patience and to learn how to correct and have patience if I went, off the plan. And so what I said to Nyasha was that, life is about ups and downs. Life is not all ups at all. And what happiness is, and I wonder how many of you agree with me on this one, what happiness is the ability to ride the ups and the downs and still stay centered. Not to expect life to just be good, to know that, with the two come together. The other thing is that I wanted to make sure that we discuss, because it's important, is do you think that I learned how to create that masterpiece? I think it's without a doubt the best loaf I have ever baked. I've got to tell you that, which is why I'm so excited today. Because it really, everything about it is sourdough, all right? And I wish that I could let you taste it, because as soon as Yvonne told me that she didn't want me to slice it and bring it to her, I said, I've got to slice it. I've got to know, does it look as good inside as it does on the outside? And then, the next thing was, I got to taste it. And I want to tell you, it looked even better than I expected, and it tasted, it is light, it is fluffy, and it tastes exactly as I always wanted bread to taste, and it's healthy. And it's just like, now, do you think I did that in a week? That I went from zero knowledge, but saying, I think I'd like to be able to cook sourdough. No. This has taken me a couple of years to get this far. So what I wanted to ask you is, how many of you have expectations of yourself that you should go from 0 to 60 in a week? Jody, I think of you as a prime example, right? Jody has lost over 100 pounds in the last year. But Jody, how long did it take you to get ready to lose that 100 pounds? Now, the reason I say that is because what I know now, because Jody, and I talk about this a lot, is that in order to start doing that big drop, Jody had to learn, she said 50 years it took her, all right? She had to learn what works, what doesn't work, what works. For any of you, I gave up smoking 8 years ago. It took me 60 years to give up smoking. Well, 50 as well, 50 something, to give up smoking. I tried everything that there was, that they ever brought out to stop me smoking. Everything. You name it. If they came up with this, I tried it, came up with that. Because the thing that I hadn't really got right was here. And so I want to say that learning to do something, the journey is really the most important thing. It's all those ups and downs until you say, okay, now I've got it. Now I can lose weight. Now, Jeannie's saying, I have a Facebook friend who I think is Polish, and she makes the most amazing loaves of bread and shows them on Facebook. Your loaf is as gorgeous as hers. It looks magnificent. Thank you very much indeed. Well, I think I can honestly say I know how to make sourdough now. But as I said, what you don't realize when you get this goal and going, okay, I think what I'd like to do is learn how to make sourdough. I was prepared to fail a lot of times, and I did. Believe you me, I failed a lot of loaves. I cannot tell you how many loaves ended up in the garbage. And, and then I start going, well, it's a waste of flour and da-da-da-da. But, if you are on a mission, then when I threw them away, I kept saying, I remembered what Edison said about creating the light bulb. You know, he failed, he reckoned 30,000 times before he got it right. And what he said was every time he failed, he was one step closer to finding out what would work, because he'd found that many ways that it didn't. And so part of getting rid of the stress is, I wonder how many of you have tried things, and because it didn't go right the first time, you said, oh, I won't bother with it. I won't bother with it. It's too difficult. Well, of course it's too difficult because you haven't trained yourself to be ready to be able to do it. I, as you know, am doing 30 minutes a day with my Wii, W-I-I. Hi, aloha to Alana, always a pleasure to see you. But you know, when I started on the Wii Fit 8 days ago, you know that I was almost in tears because I didn't have the ability to do a lot of things. But you know, 8 days later, I've actually stunned myself at what I can do just in a week. Jeannie is saying that she loves that I put different additives into my loaf. Now, I don't know how much you can see there. Just so that you know, Jeannie, actually you can probably see it better on the top. But my loaves, my sourdough starter has a few flax seeds in it and a few chia seeds in it. And then when I go to make a loaf, I take half my starter and I put that in, and then I mix that with water. And then I add white flour, some, and then I mix all of that. Once I've got that all incorporated, I start with the additives. I put in, just so you know, Jeannie, I put in flaxseed, chia seed, a handful of rolled oats, some whole milk powder. Oh, if I've got any leftovers, for example, the next loaf I make, if I've got any leftovers at the bottom of a bag of cereal, I will crush that up in my blender and throw that in as well. Actually, most of the time it's already crushed. For example, I eat mini wheat as a cereal, and it's sort of obviously wheat. And so that works really well. Yes, Nyasha, I was just talking about you, actually. But Nyasha, I wanted to show you, this is the loaf of bread that I made this morning. And this is what it looks like on the inside. Isn't that beautiful? Hey, Trina, good to see you. So it is always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to see you, and big hugs. And so what I'm trying to explain, though, is this took me a long time to get to this stage. And by the way, thank you so much, Jenny, for telling me that you like the additives I put in. I have found that, you know, I am not making bread from somebody else's recipe. I keep saying to myself, what would I like to put in here? I don't limit myself. By the way, Jody will tell you, I have never measured anything in making my bread. And, you know, it's just like, I didn't want to have to measure. I wanted to know that I had got it well enough that I could do it by feel. And, you know, if Sandy listens to this, I just want to tell you something. It is amazing how one day you just realize, I know what it's meant to feel like. I know what it's meant to look like. I make it at night, and then by the next morning, it has all risen beautifully. I don't spend a whole lot of time kneading it and doing all the right things. No, I found a way not to have to do that. Because that is the fun in my life, right? And I use making bread. Why am I talking about it today? I use making bread as stress release, right? I make bread because it requires total concentration. And it's creative. Jody's saying, I ask Sal for a recipe and she says, I have no idea. Yep. You huck in some of this and you huck in some of that. And, but Jody, that's the way I have always been. And you can probably imagine all the things that I have achieved in my life. If people say to me, well, how did you do that? And I'll go, really, I'm not 100% sure. And it's a bit like I once said, if my clothes need dry cleaning, they're in the wrong house. Do any of you relate to that? It's like I don't have time. I don't have time for the, going out and having my clothes dry cleaned. Hi there, Sandy. Sandy, I just wanted to make sure you saw the inside, Sandy, because I know that I sent you a picture of the outside, but there you go. This is, without a doubt, I now know how to make sourdough, and it tastes so good. So Sandy, the reason I was talking about you is that you are in the process of being able to create that. No, wait a minute, Nyasha, you're saying that's the talent in her. No, there's only one, quite honestly, people who read recipes get success a lot faster than I do, right? Because they follow the rules. Do you understand? But my joy in life has always been, what if I didn't follow the rules? Could I still do it, right? Could I make bread just by getting a feel of what it should look like? And am I prepared to get it wrong enough times for it to look that good? And so my neighbor has asked me to teach her how to make bread like this. And I said, well, I guess I sort of could. But you know what? She does not cook anything without opening up a recipe book. So how frustrating is it going to be for her? Yes, and Jody's saying, but intuitive cooking develops a skill as well. Yes, one that I am inclined to downplay. And thank you, Rinsky, for saying it looks fresh out of a bakery. That's what I thought too. Which was like, oh, it looks so good. But so what the lesson that I'm trying to make sure we all understand, that I wanted to pass on to Nyasha, was that, Nyasha, did you see my climbing the mountain graphic? Because if you didn't, if you wouldn't mind, after the broadcast sometime during the week, go back and watch the beginning of this, where I show the graphic that I wanted to show you about why our life has ups and downs in it. Oh, Nyasha's saying sourdough. She's never heard of that. You have now. And so so the question is, why did I want to cook sourdough, right? And the answer was because sourdough is healthier for you. Sourdough lasts longer. Oh, it doesn't have, I haven't got a lot of additives in it that make it last forever, but sourdough lasts longer than regular. And it is so delicious. And so what I wanted to let you know is that whatever it is you're striving for, Jody, when you started to lose weight, Jody, was it with an idea of, if I lose the weight, I'll be able to have the operation? Or did you just say, I need to get rid of this weight? Some of it. Because I think if you talk about the ups and downs in life, how many of you believe that I am trying to get healthier, fitter, and lose weight? And how many of you know that it's not an easy journey for me? But the question is, how do you know I'm trying to do it? Jeannie's saying, years ago, my mother wanted to make Jewish pastry. An older cousin came over to our home and showed her just what to do. There were just so many steps and it took forever. My mother made it once. Yes, some things you think you want to learn until you find out how much effort it takes. Some people think they want to be happy, but they're not prepared to do the work that makes them happy. True? All right. So Jodi's saying when she decided she wanted to lose weight, it wasn't about the fact she was going to be able to have the surgery that she's now in line for. However, the fact she lost so much weight told all her medical people and her insurance people that she had done everything within her power to get rid of a whole stack of weight. I mean, over 100 pounds is a lot of weight to drop. And so therefore, she was having difficulty dropping more than the 100 pounds. And so now they said, but now we can help you. And I believe, if I understand it correctly, that her insurance will actually be helping her will be paying for it, because they can see that she has done everything within her power. And it's like a God-given gift now that she's going to be able to have the surgery. And I don't know if any of you know anybody who's had the gastric sleeve surgery, but you know, it's like it makes a whole lot of difference to people. Right. Jody says that I'm metabolically resistant. Now that's a lot of big words there, Jody. So let's just say that she's reached the level where her whatever she does, it is still not dropping her more, but she's dropped this much. And so now she needs the help. Let's put it that way. So, by the way, if any of you've got a subject you'd like me to talk about, or something that's stressing you out this week that you'd like me to talk about, if you're in the chat today, just drop me a note here and I will pick it up. And if you are watching it on the replay, just leave a comment anyway. And on that, if you haven't subscribed, please do. And please hit the bell for the notifications. And it's going to ask you, do you want all the notifications? We'd really recommend you say yes, because then if I do an extra broadcast at all during the week, then you're going to get notified of it. Or if I need to advise you that I need to cancel something, you're going to get advised. Also, remember to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at DearMamaSal. And in fact, one of the things that I love is that we have viewers that are in the shadows. And one of the things, I had a really nice note from Pat this week. I was telling her that, you know, in case she hadn't realized it, you know, I was sending pictures to her how beautiful the quilt looks every week behind me on a broadcast. And this is the quilt that Pat sent me. And every night when I finish doing what I have to do, I curl up underneath this on the couch here and I watch videos and things, you know. And so every night this beautiful quilt comes down and it is so good. And then at night I go to bed and I've got another quilt that she sent me. For those of you who don't know, my house caught fire about 6 weeks ago. And automatically, Pat just sent me 2 quilts that she'd made. And so I just need to do a quick derobing here. But I wrote to Pat just to let her know just how much I was enjoying the quilts. Not just that I was so thankful for them, but how much I was enjoying them. And you know, she was saying that she quite often ghosts on the broadcast. In other words, she doesn't come in and chat, but she is listening. And I really love it that people do that. It touches my soul. So if any of you are doing that today, hi, and be my guest, and let me send you a hug. And by the way, if you want to give it a thumbs up here, we really appreciate that. So the point that Jody and Jane are talking about right now is that genetics play a really big part in our lives. Now, but also, I need to say, now genetics being that if your mother had it, the chances are you will also have it. Now, what I want to say is it always true? For example, my father had heart problems, and my brother has just had an operation for a heart stent. You know, they just put a tube in to keep one of his arteries open. So I look at it and go, you know, just because they've had it doesn't mean that I necessarily will. For example, my mother had osteoporosis. Now, just because she had it, I was predestined to be high risk for it, all right, because of my mother. But what I did was about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I actually talked to my doctor about that, and I luckily did it. I had that conversation. Hi, Kimmy. I had that conversation at the time when they just brought in a bone density machine into our region. And, you know, it's a special x-ray that they do. And he said, oh, good, Sal, I'll send you off for an x-ray, one of these bone density things. And when they did that x-ray, the technician said to me, wow, you must do a lot of exercise. And inside I'm going, yeah, right. You think? But, you know, I smiled. I didn't say anything. I didn't want to lie. I just smiled because it was nice to hear that. And she said, because you got the bones of a 20-year-old. So do you understand that the reason I don't have the same problem going on that my mom did is I don't eat the same way she does. All right? I don't eat the same way that she does. You know, I eat more dairy or whatever. So to me, it's like, just because it's in your family, don't stress out and think it means that you're going to have it as well. You know, I don't think so. How many of you have been conditioned to think if you exercise, you won't get heart conditions? My brother has played league tennis all his life. League as in he is good enough to play on the top ranks of, even at 76 now, he still plays league level tennis. Yeah. Now you're thinking, think about that. How much exercise is there in playing tennis? And he still had a heart condition. And, you know, it was really, yeah, Jody's saying it has influence, but does not control you completely. Yes. So therefore, yes, I was predetermined that I would be at risk of osteoporosis because it was in my family. Didn't necessarily mean I was going to have it. And now I managed to prove that apparently I don't. So what I ask you all to do is just be aware that we all stress ourselves out over things that we may or may not control. May or may not control, all right? And I think that's terribly important to understand. Now, you all know that my blood sugar, I'm trying to keep pre-diabetic, which means that I am at risk of being a diabetic, but if I control my diet, that I may never get it. Now, that requires a great deal of hard work. And one of the reasons I wanted to learn how to make sourdough bread is because sourdough has, in the process of becoming sourdough, it gets rid of a lot of the sugars. So having a piece of sourdough bread, as I'm certain a lot of you know, is healthier for you than having a regular piece of bread. And I make mine multigrain sourdough. You know, the grains in it. Oh, I also add wheat. Okay, let me think. And mine has white flour, but then it has rye, whole wheat, rolled oats, flaxseed, and chia seed, and then whole milk powder. So I know that if I'm going to eat bread, that's the healthiest bread I can eat. You know what I mean? I don't think I can put more healthy stuff in there. Oh, and occasionally I'll put in a teaspoon of sugar, but actually most of my bread, I don't have salt in it and I don't have sugars in it. Right? And it tastes wonderful. So I look at it and go, I don't know what it is you're trying to achieve. I don't know what it is that's stressing you out. But part of the reason we get so stressed is that we are not prepared to do one thing. And I think it's the most important thing. Now, two things. Number one is to set the goal. Jody had to say, I intend to lose weight and mean it. Right? I intend to lose weight and mean it. She didn't just talk about it. She started doing all the research and started experimenting, found out what worked for her and what didn't. Now, I was really lucky because by the time I became pre-diabetic, I already had a great teacher, and that was Jody, to help me learn a lot of things. But the one thing that over and above the intent in having the goal, the one thing that Jody will agree with me on, I'm pretty sure, is you have to have incredible patience if you want to achieve a really important goal. It is not one of these things where you go, Kimmy, I was thinking about you and hooking up the Wii to your smart television. Have you achieved that yet? Because there is a classic example of something that is stressful and totally understand, you know, if you just went, it's too difficult for me, I'm not going to do this. But I also know that if you keep taking it step by step, you will get it hooked up. It took me about a week. I just want to tell you that. It took me about a week of working out where everything went, getting the batteries that I didn't have, you know, getting everything step by step. I kept taking another step forward, and it took about a week for me to get it set up and working. But I knew if I just kept taking one step every day, and then I had to work out how it worked. That was a whole other problem for me. But once I got it working, I needed to be patient again. Why? I think it is really important to understand I cannot turn on Wii Fit and do all the exercises in a heartbeat. You need two different controls. You need two different controls. Just, all right, Kimmy, just so you understand, two things. Number one, you've probably got the one for the television, and then you also probably need the one for your provider. Oh, and you don't have an HDMI cable. Okay, so you know those are your next steps. When you need the next bit of advice, let us know. Okay, so Jeannie's saying, I had a long phone conversation with a lady helping with Thanksgiving meals. She said that she had a long talk with a lady who'd been a state senator and may be able to help me get money back from the town that she lives in. Now, that's the money that you spent on ingredients. Is that what you're saying, Jeannie? So to me, patience is a really important part of stress release and stress relief. If you don't have patience, you're going to be stressed. If I expect to take all those bits and hook them up to my television, get it all working and do the exercises and expect my muscles to do them, you know, I'd be really expecting way too much of myself. However, I knew every time, and again, Nyasha, if you're still with us, I want to tell you that one of the interesting things for me is when I do these exercises every day, I don't keep improving every day. All right? What happens is that I will go in and I'll do fairly well on an exercise, and the next day I won't. And then the next day I sort of go like this, and the next day I won't do as well again. But I don't worry about any of that. I don't stress out about that, because to me, what is my goal? My goal of doing this is to build strength and stamina and improve my posture and my core strength, right? And so I look at it, and it doesn't matter whether I'm doing better or worse than yesterday. Am I doing it? And am I doing it every day? And can I do 30 minutes every day? Because I know if I'm doing 30 minutes every day, whether I beat yesterday's score or not is totally irrelevant to me, because I know I'm working all those muscles and I'm making them work, and they don't like it, which is why some days they're better than others, because sometimes they're complaining. They're going, Sal, I don't want to do that exercise. It's difficult for me. And I'm going, yeah, we're still going to do it. And so here I am. I'm trying, all sorts of things. I'm trying. And, I know I need to exercise more. I know I need to eat better. I know all these things. And so I am busy playing with all of them. And this is something that Jody taught me as well, which is to find out what works for me. Not what works for Jody. I don't have Jody's body. I don't have Jody's illnesses. I don't have Jody's whatever. I have to find out what works for me. Sandy has been on an incredible roller coaster of adjusting. Isabel, another one. And so you look at it and you go, are you prepared to spend the time it takes to help yourself? And so here's the quote, the first quote I wanted to give you. And it said, the first step towards change is awareness. You need to be aware that you need to change. Because if you keep on doing what you've always done, you're going to keep on getting what you've always had, right? So the number one step is awareness. The second step is acceptance. All right, so Nyasha's saying, I did some arm lifts tonight, 100, that's a lot. And there are other times, not regularly, I walk in place using my elliptical workout. I love my new life. So this is the whole thing, Nyasha. I would start having a combination. You might want to try this, Nyasha, which is try doing 25 or 30 arm lifts, and then walking for 5 minutes, and then come back and do the other, do another 30, go and do some more walking. You understand? Make it, do a sort of routine. And I am just so glad that you are on your elliptical, because that is going to build a lot of strength for you. I know it's not easy, so don't overdo it. Okay? But start incorporating both into your day. The other thing I thoroughly recommend, if you don't want to stress out, is make it part of your routine. I literally get up in the morning, have my coffee, my first one, and before I make my second one, I do 30 minutes of something. And I assure you, I want my second cup of coffee. And that's why I decided I need to do the 30 minutes before my second cup of coffee. Not, well, after I got dressed and if I feel like it and if I have time, and no. This is now, that 30 minutes now is part of getting up in the morning. You understand? It's part, because that makes it stress-free. Also, I don't have to worry about guilting myself out all day. I know it's done. I did it first thing. Here's a nice quote as well. It says, "Let's not look back in anger or forward in fear, but around in awareness." So to me, if I concentrate on what's going to be coming at me in the next couple of months, I'm going to be stressed out. I don't want to do that. Do I have anything to be stressed out on today? No. So far, no. So Jeannie's saying she needs a few prayers for Misty. Do you want to let us know? I know she had the operation. Okay, and nothing's changed in her diet that would create that. Did you Google that to find out, see what causes that? Jeannie's saying that her dog has been throwing up a lot of bile. Yeah, sometimes it can just be a small thing, was she out today? She might have eaten something that she picked up while she was walking, and, a dandelion or something that just, caused her to not be well. Yeah. I would just Google, what causes a dog to throw up bile and see if they got anything that you can help her with. Right, Rinsky's saying, I found a wonderful workout program that's free. Can you tell people where to find it? Yes, you can put it in the chat here, because the chat does go down. So, and then what I will do is I will check it out after the broadcast. And the whole thing I found is that if people want to find a workout program that's free, they'll find it. You know what I mean? It's just like, what I found, now the question is, why did I choose to buy a secondhand Wii rather than do something like get a workout program that was free? The reason I did the Wii is I knew that my balance was off. And the whole thing about the Wii is not just about fitness exercises. All the time, every exercise, it's showing you where is your center of balance. Is it off to the left? Is it off to the right? Is it too far forward? Is it too far back? And the whole thing is not to do the exercises. It is to do the exercises and stay in balance. Does that make sense? And I want to tell you something. I've got one exercise on there. I will know when I've got a lot more strength. There's one exercise on there. I can't even begin to do it. Yasha's asking, what is we? Hold on a second, Yasha. Just let me show you, and you can Google it later. Just hold on a second. Okay, so Yasha, in very simple terms, it is a a program. This is Wii Fit. That's what I've got. But it's a program that connects to your television. It also has a special board that you stand on that checks your balance and everything else. So it's a whole combination of things. And this isn't just about an exercise program. As I said, the reason I wanted it was I knew that because of the problem I had with my left hip, that I had learned to walk and put more pressure on my right side. Does that make sense to everybody? Because that's automatically what you do. If you've got a problem with your left side, you're going to put more pressure on your right side. And what I wanted to do was to get my balance back so that it was solid, to get my core strength back. And I am amazed, if I can just show you. Hang on a second. I'm amazed to my surprise that if this is center, my center of balance is about here. It is slightly back and very slightly to the right-hand side. So there you go. It's called Wii Fit. Okay. So you can Google it. But the interesting thing is, for me, it's about balance. And what surprises me is after all those months of having trouble with my left-hand side, I am now almost perfectly in balance again. And that shocked me, quite honestly. And I would think, you know, after I've been using it for a month, I probably will be in balance. How about this one? It was said that through the years, I have seen myself as a peaceful person, but the awareness of anger is part of that process. How many of you are more aware because of the work that we do here at DearMamaSal? How many of you are more aware of your anger? And how many of you feel that you're more capable of controlling it in a healthy way? All right, so Sandy's saying it is the older Nintendo game console that has the fitness accessories. I have a feeling, Sandy, I have a feeling that they are about to add things like the Wii games and balance stuff into streaming platforms like Netflix and stuff like that. I believe that because that makes an awful lot of sense. Enough people want it. However, you won't necessarily have the balance board, or they will find a way of being able to buy that accessory and still do it online. So thank you for that, Sandy. I appreciate the input. Vrinsky's saying, I don't know if that went through. Okay. All right, so everybody's got it now that's online here. I would need to check that later. All right, Janie's saying, I definitely do feel better because of what I have learned. Yes, and you know, this is the whole thing. I think the fact that you can feel that you're getting angry, you know, which maybe before you didn't even realize it was starting up. I now know that I'm starting to get triggered. All right. That's the interesting thing for me. I now know I can feel my breathing change. I can feel, I watch, you know, quite honestly, I can feel my eyes start to close up a bit. It's like, and then I go, okay, fine. I'm beginning to get angry now. All right. And now I can stop it before I get angry, which is way better. And I have to thank you all for allowing me to use your examples and help other people with them, because that's really important. Jay Shetty said that knowledge is power, and it can help you overcome any fear of the unexpected. When you learn, you gain more awareness through the process, and you know what pitfalls to look for as you get ready to transition to the next level. And again, I would say, the work that Jody has been doing, the work that Sandy has been doing, the work that Nyasha is doing, I think you'd all agree that knowledge was your power. And it's helped you overcome your fear of the unexpected. And because of the knowledge that you've learned, you've gained more awareness about the process and what next steps, all right? Same with baking the sourdough. So when you can see that everything has a process, and if you do the right things, you get the right results. Nyasha's saying, I am for sure. Recently, my mom went to her clinic appointment at our local hospital for 12 noon. They didn't return until 8 p.m. at night. Instantly, my mind went, oh, I can imagine what happened to your mind. Oh, and there's more coming, but I would imagine you probably thought they'd had an accident, or they found something and they had to rush her to hospital, or I can just imagine. But the truth is, until you find out what it is, you don't know. And therefore, how about this one? Whatever you're waiting for, be that peace of mind, contentment, grace, inner awareness of simple abundance, it will surely come to us, but only when we are ready to receive it with an open and grateful heart. Brinsky's asking, does anybody have any tips on staying motivated to work out? I keep taking days off, too many days off. Well, Brinsky, here's the thing. Here's the tip. If you want to work out, you will. It's actually quite simple. This is one of the incredible lessons that I talk about that I love Benji for, right? If you want a tip on how to work out, do it. Stop having excuses. Stop finding reasons why you don't have to do it. Just do it and get it over with. Because that means that you want to work out. If you want to look for excuses, you don't really want to work out. Does that make sense, Rinsky? Okay, so Nyasha's finishing her story here. She's saying she could envisage that her parents had been in an accident. And a few minutes later, I heard my brain say, you don't know that. It's just speculation. And do what Mama Sal said and taught us. And it just went away. You see, and 5 minutes later, they turned up. So, I want to tell you something, Nyasha. A story like that keeps me doing what I do. So, Rinsky, do you understand the lesson? Do you understand the lesson? You get to choose every day whether you want to exercise or not. You decide every day, you choose whether to give an excuse why you're not going to do it. You don't need any tips. Do you get my point? Why have I exercised every day for 8 days? Because I want to. And by the way, this morning I got up and I didn't feel like doing yoga. So what I did is I put in some games on the system instead of the yoga and stuff. And what I did is I played tennis, I did boxing and canoeing. Now, tennis, there was a lot of exercise using my right side. And that's what made me think, that's great, but it also twists your body a lot. So I think that playing tennis on the Wii system was a great idea, right? Because it's using a lot of my core muscles. Then I went to the canoeing. Now, the canoeing, again, you try doing it, people. It uses a lot of the abdominal muscles to be able to do that. Okay. And by the way, you don't have to have the Wii to do this. You can do it, just sitting in your chair. But you will find it uses a lot of muscles. And now the boxing. Now, for some reason, I only tried the boxing yesterday and again today. And I did it again today because I realized this gets quite complicated on the Wii because you're going punch, block, because you've got to protect your face, and then punch, block, punch, block, punch, block. Easy enough, but it gets more complicated. You have to stand off the Wii, punch, block, stand back on the Wii, stand off the Wii, punch, block. And a lot of coordination with getting your feet on and off the Wii at the same time. So to me, this is like part of the joy of this is it gets really complicated. And it's also the frustration because I find that my left-right brain function has changed. And so the girls trying to contact me. They are very insistent. Second. No. Okay. They've given up. So you understand that this is like, it's not just going box, box. By the way, using a lot of upper arm strength, and that also uses your core muscles in your torso. But it's getting on and off, and it has a sort of rhythm to it. It's using a lot of left-right stuff. And I do find that my left side is less agile than my right side. So that's exactly why I'm doing it, because the Wii will tell me whether I'm putting, getting on and off more quickly on the one side than the other. It's all important information to me. So Peter Limberg said that I firmly am convinced that true beauty only springs from the acceptance of oneself, from an awareness of who we really are. Jody, I want to give you a moment to think about that. So much of your life, I don't think you realized who you were. I think for a lot of your life, you didn't see your courage. I think for a lot of your life, you didn't see your perseverance. And probably for a lot of your life, you didn't realize your research skills and your determination. But between having cancer and the lymphedema and everything else, look at you now. You have all these skills that you're putting to use, and you look after us here at DearMamaSal. Pretty impressive tool bag that you have, young lady. And I hope that you appreciate that. All right, what is necessary to change? Rinsky, listen up on this one, honey. What is necessary to change a person is to change his awareness of himself. Maslow said that, if you know about Maslow's theorem. And obviously her, not just him. So think about that, Rinsky. You can carry on giving excuses why you don't want to work out from here until next year. That is your right. You get to choose every day. or you can talk back to that voice. And that is what I found about overcoming an addiction. I used to smoke, and what I found is really important to talk back to that voice. That voice that says, yeah, don't worry about it, you can do it tomorrow. And what I will do when it was Sunday. My voice today, Rinsky, said, Sal, give yourself a day off. It's Sunday. And I went, I am not giving myself a day off. I am trying to improve my strength and my balance. So, off. I don't mind telling you. Actually, it was a 4-letter word, but not the one you're probably thinking of. It started with a P, and it rhymed with we. I mean, never mind. Yeah, and so Jodi's saying, I struggled to find who I was for so long. You helped me find myself and developed my skills. Well, Jodi, that's my job. I think I've told you many stories about. I've met so many people during my time in business that didn't think they had any skills at all. Or one of the stories that you've probably heard me tell was there was one receptionist when I went into one company to solve a problem. There was one receptionist who hated my guts. She disliked everything I stood for. My problem was I thought she was probably one of the most talented people in the company, and for some reason had never seen her talent and had decided to be a receptionist. And so I took it upon myself to promote her. And when I went to promote her, I said, by the way, I'd like to promote you to join my team. And she looked at me like I had asked her to take the Kool-Aid. She said, what makes you think I would ever want to work in your team? And I said, a very good point. Yeah. Thank you for reminding me of that. All right, let me tell you what I think might. Number one, you're going to learn a lot. Number two, you're going to earn more money. And number three, it could change your life. I tell you what, I'll give you the weekend to think about it. Let me know on Monday. Because on Monday, I'll start looking for a new person if you don't want to. Just like, and the joke was that she came in on Monday and she came into my office and she said, I gave it some thought. And I went, okay, fine. And she said, I don't like you. And I said, yeah, I know that. Why would you want to help me if you don't like me? I said, because I think you're talented, unfortunately. And I know it's going to be difficult for us both, but I cannot let that stand in my way. I cannot let the fact that you don't like me stand in my way of helping you to grow, because you could be the most valuable person on the team if I train you right. What are you talking about? I said, you'll find out. You will find out. By the way, what was your decision? And she said, I've decided I'm going to do it. I said, good. Welcome to the team. Now, the interesting thing was to find out what motivated her. Do you know what motivated her most? Was to hear that I couldn't do something. It was like a personal thing. And I knew anytime I wanted her to learn something, I'd go, Sandy, her name was Sandy. Sandy, I don't know, I don't expect you to be able to do this because I can't, but I need somebody to be able to do X, Y, and Z. And I haven't got the time to learn how to do it. Do you think you could find me somebody in the team that can? I'm not joking. If I said that I couldn't do it, bells went off in her mind. And by the next day, she would come in and say, okay, now this thing that you are not smart enough to do, I worked on it last night and this is how it works. And inside I'd be going, yes. And I go, oh, thank you so much. Good work. I told you were bright. It's just like, And I just knew how to set it up so that she would be motivated. And she got motivated when she thought I couldn't do something. So I did a lot of that. All right, so Kez, hi Kez, always a pleasure to see you. Hi everybody. Everybody's got a talent, but a lot of people think that their talent isn't anything special until you meet somebody. This is the whole thing. I think that's what management is about, Kez, myself. All right. I think management is not managing people. I think management is bringing out the best in people that they probably don't see for themselves. You've heard me tell stories about one guy that I had on a team where I went in to do some troubleshooting with a particular team. And I can remember that this one guy, when I took over the team, they said, listen, you probably want to get rid of him. Why? Well, he's dyslexic. So I said, so I should get rid of him because he's dyslexic? Well, yeah, you know. And I let me see. Well, guess what? He was very dyslexic. Until you put him on a computer with figures, he was amazing with figures. For some reason, he did not superimpose numbers the way that he did the alphabet. Now, I'm not sure. I'd have to talk to somebody who knows about. I'm not sure. I didn't think that was possible. I thought either you had that sort of switch going on in your brain or you didn't. But for him, you put him on a computer with numbers, no problem. In fact, he was in his element. So guess what? As soon as I tested him on a couple of things, you know, I'd give him little tasks to do. And then he'd look at me and he'd say, you want me to do that? And I go, well, would you mind? And he goes, but Sal, you know I'm dyslexic, don't you? And I go, yeah, I know that. Well, I don't know if I can. I said, do me a favor. I haven't got time to do it myself. So do you want to just play with it and see if you can? Because if you could, it would save me a lot of time. And I could spend more time, you know, doing other things. And boom, the next thing I knew, and literally he became my finance wizard. And he came to me with literally the tears running out of his eyes. And he said, why did you trust me with figures? With an awful lot of notes behind them. And I said, well, it was worth finding out, wasn't it? He said, I cannot tell you what it's done to my self-confidence. I said, good. That's my job. And I don't have to tell you how loyal those members of staff were. If you think about that. So here's my challenge to you all. You're all aware of what causes you stress. Now, if we be prepared, not scared about certain things, what's causing you stress this week? Let's spend a little bit of time just doing a couple of them. If any of you've got anything that's stressing you out, I've definitely got one. Thanks, Rinsky. It is a true story. You know, whether people believe it or not, it is a true story. And I've got a whole slew of them. You know what I mean? But it's just, to me, it's like Jody will tell you the same thing. She could not believe that I asked her to be my admin when, you know, I didn't know enough about her and her illnesses and da-da-da-da. And I think my answer was, I don't really care. I don't care how sick you are. I don't care how old, young, pretty, fat, thin, what. I really don't care. All I know is you're there at every broadcast. You care a great deal about everybody, and you care about me. I think those are great reasons to make you an admin. Was I wrong, Jody? You see, it's not what people say. It's what they do that impresses me, right? Jody's saying I was shocked and in disbelief. Who, me? Yes, you. And tell me, and Rinsky saying, you have an eye for finding the gems in people. Thank you, Rinsky. And so do you. If you watch what people do, not just what they say, but what they do, right? So it wasn't that Jody told me she cared about other people. It was what she kept doing naturally that brightened my eyes, right? Because I would hear from other people, well, I can't believe it, but Jody contacted me this week, and I'd go, okay, fine. And when I needed help anytime, she was always asking me privately, is there anything I can do to help you? And she does it every week. Is there anything I can do to help you? It's like, I need this person in my life. Now, 9 times out of 10, I get stressed out because I do a lot of things instinctively. How I cook. Well, I actually do broadcasts the same way. So, and Jody is a planner and a producer and has process, and it's wonderful. My problem is sometimes on Tuesday, I have no idea what I'm going to be doing on Friday. So if I've really got all my little bits together, I can get Jody to help me on some of the broadcasts. But most of the time, nope. And I think if anybody needs to be stressed with that, it's me, not Jody. Jody's saying, I have love and deep appreciation for Sal and the Dear Mama Sal family. All right, Jeannie's saying, my stress comes from really missing Mass. It has been over 8 months, virtual Mass only, but I tell myself that is okay for now. You see, if you really do believe in a God, which I know you do, then I am pretty certain God understands that you would prefer to be in the structure of a church, attending Mass. Right? The main thing is, do you go to Mass every week? And the answer is yes. Jody does as well. Lauren does as well. And so, this is like, and I'm mentioning those people because you're all Catholic, but it's like Mass to you is part of your life. Therefore, you would prefer to do it in person. How many of you, would love to be with your family for Thanksgiving and are not going to be because it is not safe? I would have loved to have delivered bread to Yvonne today, all right, and get a hug. But guess what? No, it's too dangerous. She doesn't want me near there because there's somebody with COVID in the house now. So, you look at it and you go, how do you get over that stress? You stop thinking that God's going to judge you. Well, I think one of the most difficult things for any of us, I wasn't brought up as a Catholic. I was brought up a high Anglican, which is Henry VIII's answer to Catholicism. If you remember the history, Catholicism wouldn't let him get divorced. So he got divorced and started a new church, which was the Church of England, which was exactly the same thing, but it had a different name. And I was brought up high Anglican, which is quite honestly Catholicism with a different name. But one of the things that I really do believe, and one of the reasons I had a big fight with my religious teachers in my life, was because I don't believe that God is evil. I don't believe that God is a guilt giver. I really don't believe that. I really do believe that God wants us to be happy and to do the right things. So Jeannie is saying, we have many strikes against us. Crohn's disease, asthma, over the age of 70. York has had a stroke and 3 mini seizures. So we remain at home. Yes, and Jeannie is saying, and I think God is loving. Yes, I don't believe that God is sitting up there going, so Jeannie and York couldn't be bothered to go to church because they've been scared of COVID. No, I don't think so. I think he's got more important things, or she, has more important things to be doing, quite honestly. I really do. And by the way, you see, I think that Jody was sent to help us. I don't believe it was coincidence, right? I believe that I needed some help. And guess what? As soon as I admitted that, because that's the awareness, I'm getting older, I can't juggle all the balls all of the time anymore. As soon as I admitted that, guess what? Jody came along and offered to help. Now, she didn't think she was going to be an admin. She just wanted to help me in any way she could. If you guys know Benji and Judy and their channels, well, how many of you have seen and heard about Stacy? Stacy, above all else, wanted to help Judy. And she really wanted to help. And guess what? They allowed her to help her on little things. Stacy is now an integral part of the system. Why? Because every time she helped, they gave her a bit more, and then a bit more, and then a bit more, and now she's indispensable. But how much do you see of Stacy? Not a lot. And how much do you hear about her? Not a lot. And so you look at it and you go, the people who want to do things don't just talk about it, they do it. And so, Rinsky, we're going to be really interested if you would, are you up for a challenge, Rinsky? Because I would really like to help you with the workout thing. Let me know if you're still there, Rinsky, because I really want to give you the key that I found out, how to fix some of these things. I am aware, for example, Rinsky, if I stopped baking bread, I'd stop eating it. But, my thing was, no, I'd rather make healthier bread so I allow myself one piece of bread a day. Do I want to eat 6? Yes. Always up for a challenge. That's what I thought about you, Rinsky. It's one of the things I love about you. Okay, so here's the thing. Are you capable of taking notes on things? Have you got a mind that records things? I don't care how you record it. I don't care whether you do it on a piece of paper or in the computer or on the back of an envelope or whatever. Here's the question. Could you for a week keep track of all the excuses that your mind comes up with? Because your mind is obviously very good at controlling you. And so what I'd like you to do is every time you say, okay, I really want to be exercising now. See, it's partially, do you say I should be exercising now? Because if you say I should, that's a guilt word to start with. So your mind goes, yeah, but you really don't feel like it, do you? You go, no. So I want you to hear that voice. And I want you to start recording what the voice says. And then, if it works, what you say back to the voice. Now, if you wouldn't mind, start collecting that data and take it, get it to me. I don't care if you type it to me, take a screenshot, take a photograph of your writing, and send it to me at DearMamaSal@gmail.com, and I will do a program just on what the voice said. Now, if any of you want to do this exercise as well, it is mind-blowingly funny. It is really funny to do it. And by the way, Rinsky, one of the ways I've stopped the voice a lot, I'll go, hang on a second, you gave me that excuse yesterday. Can't you be a bit more creative than that? The voice shuts up immediately. I start criticizing the voice. It's just like, yeah, I know you want me not to do it, but I've decided I want to exercise. So do me a favor. Go away. I use different words. But what I'd like you to do is write down what the voice says. Now, I'm very selfish, Rinsky. The reason I want you to write it down, because I think it'll be a really funny broadcast. And if any of you care to join in on this one, it would be wonderfully, I think it would be a great fun to do it, right? Anybody else want to join in and do this? Think about something that you want to do. And then Nash is saying, that's so funny. DearMamaSal tells herself to shut up. I like that. I might start doing that also. Well, I think about it as, we've all got two sides of us, right? The good side and then the other side. And it's like, so I hear this side going, nah, Sal, you don't really want to do this. And I'm going, actually, yes, I do. Oh, Jody's saying, yeah, her voice says, get a life. Oh, do you use that as a motivator or to pull you down? Or do you hear your voice going, yeah, but you're really too tired, and then you say, yeah, but I want to get a life. See, you want to live. That's the difference, isn't it? You don't want to die anymore. You want to live. Yeah, get a life. My place has been a little bit untidy this week. Whatever reason, most of it has been, I haven't been as well. But it's just like, really, it's going to stay a mess until I do something about it. Now, what was more fun than tidying up this morning? This was more fun than tidying up this morning. Okay. Now, how many of you going, that's got to be healthy for my mind? Can you imagine what it felt like when I took that loaf out of the oven and it looked like this? And then I went, that's very fun. And then when she said that I couldn't bring it over, and I went, I wonder what it looks like inside, because sometimes it looks great and then doesn't look so great inside, And they were just like, and then it was, I wonder what it tastes like. And the voice was going, you are only allowed one slice. Well, the first bit is just the end. It's not really a slice, is it? So the second one is a small slice. So I reckoned if I could have the small slice and the end, that would be one slice. And it was so magnificent. And I do not regret it one little bit. Yes, Jody's learned this trick now. She also says, really? That excuse again? Come on, you can do better than that. It works really well, doesn't it, Jody? It's just like, now, I know you guys like these stories, so just a quick one, because I know I'm on time here. But I really helped somebody who was a schizophrenic with that. And they were in the middle of a schizophrenic moment where they had people attacking them. And I literally lay down beside them and I said, tell me what's happening in your mind. And then this guy said to me, but Sal, you don't understand, they're angry. I'm going, who is? Are these people that are in my head? And I said, okay, how many of them? I literally, I didn't say, oh, that's stupid. I said, how many? No, about 6, Sal. Okay, what sort of sizes are they? And he told me, and I said, okay, tell them they're not just dealing with you anymore. They're dealing with you and me. And he started to laugh. He said, they don't like that. I said, I'm sure they don't. So you tell them to back off right now, or else they're going to be dealing with me. And then I said to him, and what did they say? No, they really didn't like that. Good. So tell them to leave and close the door behind them. He said, I can't do that. I said, tell them to leave and close the door behind them. Now, and the next thing, he started to laugh and he said, they did it. They left. I said, good. Now, here's the thing. Next time these guys invade your mind again, you know what to do with them. Just tell them, go now, or you're going to be dealing with Sal, because I will phone her and she will be here. And, he said to me, it changed his life. Because After a while, he didn't need to threaten Sal was coming. After a while, he realized that he could say, I want you out of here, now go. And I taught him, in your mind, take a step forward. Tell them, don't back off. Take a step forward and tell them out. Close the door behind you. And, he said to me, why didn't anybody teach me this? And how did you know to do that? I said, I didn't. I didn't know how to do that. All I know is if somebody's invading your brain, you better tell them to back off, because otherwise they have control of you. And so, Rinsky, get this message. And Rinsky, with all the love in the world, thank you so much for telling the truth about the exercise thing. Because if you hadn't told the truth on that, we wouldn't have had this discussion. Do you understand that, Rinsky? I mean, tears in my eyes. If you hadn't told us the truth about your exercise issue, we wouldn't have had this discussion. And how many people will be helped, Rinsky, because you talked about this? Pretty impressive. So here's the thing. Hi, Judith. Great to see you. Hope everything's well in Ireland. The lesson is be aware. Be aware of what a good person you are. Be aware of how talented you are. Be aware that discussing something that's stressing you out, as Rinsky did, can help so many people. And that's why I thank each and every one of you that comes into the chat. Because without you, we don't get to teach a whole lot of people. Because I think helping Rinsky teaches everybody something, doesn't it? Because you're all going to be listening to those voices and you're all going to be answering them back, I hope, and going, yeah. And now, will you be perfect at it? Probably not, because it's your first week of doing it. And Jody's saying, Rinsky, awesome job. Thank you for your honesty and for the inspiration. Everybody, thank you for being here. It makes my week. And Nyasha's saying he couldn't have stood up and fought them by himself, yet he didn't know how to. He needed to find his strength in someone, and that was you. How nice. Yes, and the main thing was that after a while he didn't need to threaten them with me. He threatened them with himself. And that's when he started to get really healthy very quickly. It was amazing. And Sandy, thank you for thanking me for the broadcast. It is my pleasure. This is DearMamaSal saying, remember, I don't do this on my own. Right? I know you give me credit for it all too often, but you understand it's because of Jeannie and Rinsky and Jody and Sandy and everybody else that's here that it makes it happen. And Nyasha, your story has inspired so many people. And your thing about the ups and downs, that's life. Learn to go with them. As I am learning, I don't have to keep beating myself every day to be an improvement. I just need to exercise every day to build up my core strength. That is the message. This is DearMamaSal saying thank you all for being here. Control your stress before it controls you this week. Bye-bye for now.